I am getting everything set up and ready to go for an episode of Ancient Mysteries. Waiting for Beam and all the other multi-streaming platforms to start. And I'm going to do my regular audio tests before I get started. So let me do that real quick. Alright, sounds good on Beam. Now I'm going to go to X Pro and see what that sounds like. Usually it does the whole spinning wheel thing on me, so I have to hit refresh and then do it again, but hopefully. Okay, so X Pro sounds good. DLive is up and running. So let me test it out and see what it's like. DLive is up and going. We have Twitch going. Twitch sounds good. And Kick as well. Now we have to find out with YouTube what's going on there. So, okay, DLive is up and going, and it sounds good too. So tonight I am going to be doing Ancient Mysteries, and that's going to be pretty good. So, well, I think it's going to be pretty good. I don't know. Tonight we are going to be talking about theta. And the other night on mine's roundtable, I pronounced it wrong. But tonight I finally caught myself and I pronounced it properly. So with that being said, I will have the stream started up in 6 minutes. For now, I'm going to give you guys, or I'll have the show going in 6 minutes. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and put on another one of these cool songs that Mr. Robot has allowed me to put on the show. So here we go. I'm going to put on Mr. Robot's Echoes of Atlantis. Hope you guys enjoy.
Once the gods carved earth like a cosmic chessboard, Poseidon claimed Atlantis, his star-born accord. 10 twin suns, throne of tridents waits at his command. Empire stretched from Baobab stones to Mayan sand. Monolith stacked like Legos blocks no crane could lift. Sonic levitation, gods don't need pulleys or grit. Athena taught Athens, Hephaestus forged veins of gold, but Atlantis spires pierced heaven's stories untold. Ages of virtue, divine blood pure in the veins. No egregious geodesic temples where starlight reigns, but mortality crept in, diluted the grace. Go turn to rust, hubris eclipsed the god fast.
Of Atlantis, drowned in the deep. Poseidon's lost kingdom, where titans still sleep. From beneath the tetragonical, the cold section heart, as above, so below, cosmic empire of modern princes of plasma, their thrones now debris. Echoes of Atlantis, where gods walked the sea.
Watch the fall, saw vice crack the divine. Pyramids hummed warnings, but they ignored the signs. Sky split with fury, tsunami swallowed their pride. Atlantis sang screaming, but blueprints survived. Baalbek's foundation, stones that define modern math. 1,000-ton puzzle, gravity's aftermath. Scholars still baffled how they align the stars. They rode cosmic currents, breaching space-time's bars. Now divers chase shadows, where crystal cities gleamed. AI scans the ocean, but truth a half-dream. Dream three maces whisper maps in their launches of lore. Plato's Critias, a metaphor or a war.
Echoes of Atlantis, drowned in the deep. Poseidon's lost kingdom, where titans still sleep. From music to theological, the co-attention all as above, so below. Cosmic empire of laws and princes of plasma, their thrones now debris. Echoes of Atlantis, where gods walk the sea.
They say Poseidon's seed still flows in our veins. In every megalith, every grid that restrains. The Dogon chart Sirius, temples guard the flame. But Atlantis tech, it's encoded in our DNA's frame. Zeus's verdict was fire, a flood and ice. Yet the Sphinx still stares, whispering sacrifice. Mortal minds crave power, but miss the design. True kings rule through resonance, not bloodline. Now decode the ruins, their psalms etched in stone. A star-born king's empire, now dust and bone. The hall of records buried neath Giza's cold gaze holds anti-gravity schematics from pre-flood days. Crystal engines hummed, organ fueled their might, till pride turned their frequencies dissonant blight. The Anunnaki fled, Mars colonies crumbled. Leviathan's bones in the Mariana rumbled. But Poseidon's ghost rides the Bermuda's mist. Evolve past the greed or drown in the abyss. Tsunamis taller than gods crack continents like eggs. Jungles of Egypt drowned, turned to sand in Poseidon's regret. Mammals shrunk to lapdogs, skies choked by volcanic breath. Waves circled the globe thrice, 3 funerals for death. Up the piston, rode the arc of frequencies, not wood. Up tetrahedron's ziggurat where anti-grav pulses stood. While Atlantis sank, he spliced DNA and quantum seeds. Stashed them in Göbekley's veins and Indus Valley reeds. Volcanic winter's curse, Zeus hit the reset. Scorched the grids, erased the moon-ringed internet. Noah's not a shepherd, he's a star-born archivist. Cracking hermetic scrolls in caves where mushrooms twist. The survivors crawl from mud with amnesiac eyes. Built new gods from scrap metal and fallen skies. Now desert bones whisper where cedars once soared. Man's just a ghost in Atlantis' holographic horde. The flood wasn't water, it was math. A codex purge, Enoch's nightmares digitized in the cosmic surge. As above, so below, the blueprint stays true. Rise from the ashes or drown in what's new. The flood wasn't water, it was math. A codex purge, Enoch's nightmares digitized in the cosmic surge. As above, so below, the blueprint stays true. Rise from the ashes or drown in what's you. Echoes of Atlantis drowned in the deep, the deep. Poseidon's lost kingdom, where titans still sleep. From Giza to Tijuana, their codes etched in awe. As above, so below, cosmic empire of war. 10 princes of plasma, their thrones now debris. Echoes of Atlantis, where gods walk the sea. So when you see Stonehenge, Anchor Rothfire, know Atlantis lives in quantum wire. The gods were missed, their mentors and code. Rise from the ashes, or repeat what they owe. Once the gods carved earth like a cosmic chessboard, Poseidon claimed Atlantis, his star-born accord. 10 twin suns, throne of tridents waves at his command. Empire stretched from bow, big stones to Mayan sand. Monolith stacked like Legos blocks no crane could lift. Sonic levitation, gods don't need pulleys or grit. Athena taught Athens, Hephaestus forged veins of gold. But Atlantis spires pierced heaven, stories untold. Ages of virtue, divine blood pure in the veins. No egregious geodesic temples where starlight reigns. But mortality crept in, diluted the grace. Go turn to rust, hubris eclipsed the god fact.
Of Atlantis, drowned in the deep. kingdom where titans still sleep. From these that Tetraronical to cold section, all as above, so below, cosmic empire of laws and princes of plasma, their thrones now debris. Echoes of Atlantis where gods walked the sea.
Watch the fall, saw vice crack the divine. Pyramids hummed warnings, but they ignored the signs. Sky split with fury, tsunami swallowed their pride. Atlantis sang screaming, but blueprints survive. Complex foundation, stones that define modern math. 1,000-ton puzzle, gravity's aftermath. Scholars still baffled how they align the stars. They rode cosmic currents, breaching space-time's bars. Now divers chase shadows where crystal cities gleamed. AI scans the ocean, but truth a half-dream. Dream Freemasons whisper maps in their lodges of lore. Plato's Critics, a metaphor or a war.
Echoes of Atlantis drowned in the deep. Poseidon's lost kingdom where titans still sleep. From music to Tetraronical to cold tension, all as above, so below, cosmic empire of laws and princes of plasma, their thrones now debris. Echoes of Atlantis where gods walk the sea.
They say Poseidon's seed still flows in our veins. In every megalith, every grid that restrains. The Dogon chart Sirius, temples guard the flame. But Atlantis tech, it's encoded in our DNA's frame. Zeus's verdict was fire, a flood and ice. Yet the Sphinx still stares, whispering sacrifice. Mortal minds crave power, but miss the design. True kings rule through resonance, not bloodline. Now decode the ruins, their psalms etched in stone. A star-born king's empire, now dust and bone. The hall of records buried neath Giza's cold gaze.
Okay, so now I'm back. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late, but now I am ready to start the show. Let me go ahead and get it going, and we will be ready. So here we go. I'm going to have a moment of silence real quick, and then I'll officially start the show up and get things ready. So here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ancient Mysteries. I'm Roger Hanson, and today I am continuing where I left off in the last episode. Now, I was talking about Moloch and Molk and how that played out in history. M-O-L-K, Molk, in the last ones. And I was making references to archaeology as well as biblical texts and talking about that. Now, this week, I am wanting to get into talking about theta, or theta, however it's pronounced. It's Theta. Now, this goes back to Greeks, or to the Greeks, and it's in their Greek alphabet. It's also got to do with math. I'll cover a little bit of that, but I'm going to focus a little bit more on the religious and spiritual aspects of theta. So, and from now on, that's what I'm going to call it, the theta. It could be a different term, but I'm not sure if it is or not. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and continue from that point on. So, with theta, that can refer to a variety of concepts depending on the context. Like I said, it's in the alphabet, the Greek alphabet, where theta is the 8th letter. Now, in scientific and mathematical context, it often represents a common use to represent an unknown angle. Like if it's an unknown angle, it's just theta. It also has a special function used in various areas of mathematics, particularly in complex analysis and number theory. And polar coordinates, theta often represents the angle in relationship to the origin. Now, the letter is sometimes used to represent temperature or potential in certain physics formulas. Theta waves is also something that's between 4 and 8 hertz, and they are a type of brainwave that occurs during periods of deep relaxation, sleep, or meditation. They are often associated with a state of creativity, intuition, and memory consolidation. Now, some alternative therapies and meditation practices, it is believed that the access of theta brainwaves state allows for deeper introspective creativity and healing. In esoteric and occult traditions, theta can symbolize spiritual knowledge, understanding, or enlightenment. It may also represent the idea of the void or a deep cosmic state in certain belief systems. In some contexts, theta is associated with the divine or the first principles of creation. So we have the first principles right there. Now, in certain mystical teachings, theta may represent the source of everything, embodying a primordial force or state of existence that transcends ordinary experiences. Now, theta can also refer to the big O notation, or the big O or zero notation. I've always had an issue about that. I didn't know if it was actually an O or a zero, where zero N is used to describe the time complexity of an algorithm in computational theory. It indicates the asymptotic behavior of an algorithm where the runtime grows at a specific rate relative to the size of the input. Now, in some ancient Greek and religious traditions, the letter theta was symbolic for death and the afterlife, often seen in association with death deities or rituals. The symbol of the theta was used in inscriptions or tombs as a sign of the deceased's passage into another realm. In many ancient cultures, the circle was a symbol of the world, the cosmos, or the eternal. The letter theta was its circular shape. The word theta, with its circular shape, has been associated with these themes in both symbolic and philosophical contexts. In ancient Greek philosophy, the circle symbolized wholesome unity and eternity because it has no beginning or end. Theta, being a circular shape, would naturally be associated with concepts of completeness and the infinite, often used to describe the cosmos or the world in its totality. Now, between 428 and 348 BCE, Plato often used geometric shapes to represent philosophical and metaphysical concepts. The circle represents the world as a symbol for the perfect, eternal, and unchanging aspects of existence. In his Timaeus, Plato describes the world's soul being crafted by the gods into a perfect spherical shape, embodying harmony and order. The circle, thus, was seen as a divine form and an extension. Theta, as a symbol of the circle, might represent these same eternal qualities. In ancient Greek astronomy and cosmology, the circle was a dominant motif when discussing the structure of the universe. Ancient Greek philosophers and mathematicians believed that the heavens and stars moved in circular orbits, and this notion extended to their idea of cosmic perfection, a perfect circle encapsulating the idea of divine unchanging motion. The letter theta, being circular, was often used in geometric and astronomical contexts. It may have symbolized the heavens or the world as a whole, reflecting an ancient belief that the universe itself was orderly, spherical, and continuous, echoing the symbolism and completeness and unity. The circle often symbolized the circle of life, including birth, death, and rebirth in many ancient mythologies. In some philosophical traditions, time was viewed as cyclical, with the world constantly renewing itself, much like the movement of the circle. In this sense, theta could represent both the eternal cycle of life and the world's recurring rebirth, where everything is interconnected and constantly transforming within the frameworks of a circular, eternal rhythm. In certain mystical traditions, particularly in Gnosticism and early Christianity, the circle represented divine completeness, and this symbolism can extend to theta as a symbol of spiritual wholeness or the cosmic realm. In these contexts, theta was sometimes thought to represent the divine source or the world soul that governs the order of the cosmos. It could be a visual representation of the absolute, the unknowable, and the mystical force that binds the universe together. The circle is often linked with balance and harmony, both physical and metaphysical. This corresponds with the idea of a world in perfect equilibrium. The letter theta is representing the circle. In representing the circle, could be understood as a symbol of harmony between the material and spiritual worlds, where the physical world is part of a larger divided plan. Even in more contemporary interpretations, the idea of theta continues to invoke universal unity. In theta healing or meditation practices, theta waves represent a deep meditative state where a person may connect with a sense of the cosmic whole, embodying the idea of a unified eternal world. Theta is a symbol of the circle. Theta as a symbol of the circle has deep historical, philosophical, and spiritual connotations. The cosmos, or the world, is a perfect, eternal, and harmonious whole. Cycles of life, death, and rebirth, particularly in ancient cosmology. Divine completeness, order, and the eternal return in various religious traditions. Thus, theta is more than just a geometric symbol. It is a representation of the universal cyclical nature of existence, and its circular form resonates with the idea of the world as a divine, harmonious whole, eternally moving in cosmic balance. The concept of a good daemon comes from various ancient traditions, especially those associated with Greek, Phoenician, and Egyptian beliefs. The word daemon, or daemon, from the Greek daimon, refers to a spiritual being or divine entity, often an intermediary between gods and humans. Unlike the modern interpretation of demon as a malevolent being, the ancient understanding of a daemon was more complex and could be either benevolent or neutral. The term good daemon typically refers to a positive, protective force or guiding spirit. In ancient Greek philosophy and religion, a daemon was considered a spirit being that existed between the gods and humans. Plato and other philosophers spoke of daemons or daimons as divine intermediaries, neither wholly good nor evil. And daimons is spelled Daimons, neither good nor evil, who guided humans' actions and fates. Now, in this context, a good daemon would be a benevolent being that offered guidance, protection, and wisdom, often serving as a personal guardian or helper. Socrates famously referred to his own daimonian, a guiding voice or spirit that he believed instructed him and kept him from wrongdoing. Good daimons in Greek thought could be associated with muses who inspired creativity, or guardian spirits who protected individuals and ensured their well-being. In the Phoenician tradition, as noted earlier, Ethothia, or Ethothia, with Ethothia, was regarded as a good daemon, often associated with divine protection. This figure was believed to be immortal and self-consumed, only dying if struck by a violent blow, signifying its near invincible nature. The Phoenicians also linked the good daemons with specific symbols like the hawk, emphasizing qualities of alertness, agility, and divine protection. This connection between the hawk and divine guidance points to a more direct spiritual relationship where the daemon influences human affairs for the better. The Phoenicians sometimes referred to the good daemon as a creator or spiritual or a guardian spirit looking after individuals and communities. This type of spirit might not be omnipotent, but rather acted as an intermediary who played a role in the moral and spiritual order of the world. In ancient Egyptian mythology, the good daemon might be symbolized by the god Kneph, also known as Khepri, who was often depicted as a man with the head of a scarab beetle. Kneph was associated with creation and the sun's daily rebirth. The concept of a good daemon in this case could be closely linked to rebirth, renewal, and protection. Kneph was believed to be a creative force symbolizing the life-giving power of the sun and the cyclical nature of existence. In this tradition, Kneph and similar gods played roles as cosmic guardians, ensuring balance and order in the universe and supporting the souls of the deceased in their journey through the afterlife. Across various ancient Near East and Mediterranean cultures, the idea of a good daemon often took on the role of a spirit that not only guided and protected, but also helped bring about prosperity and success in life. These spirits were sometimes ancestors or personal guardians associated with particular families or individuals. In some cultures, these benevolent spirits were honored through rituals, offerings, and prayers, ensuring their protection and intervention in everyday affairs. In many of the philosophical contexts, the good daemon can also be understood as an allegory for one's inner moral compass or conscience. In this way, the daemon is not necessarily a separate entity, but rather a reflection of the moral or divine principles within a person, guiding their decisions and actions towards virtuous ends. In Plato's work, the good daemon could represent the voice of reason or divine wisdom that directs the individual towards the good life, helping them distinguish right from wrong. The daemonian of Socrates was seen as a divine conscience, a tool for ethical decision making. The good daemon represents the presence of benevolent spiritual forces in various ancient cultures, associated with wisdom, guidance, and protection and creation. In many cases, these daemons acted as intermediaries between gods and humans, offering help in navigating life's challenges, ensuring prosperity, and maintaining cosmic harmony. The concept of the good daemon was part of a broader idea that the divine could manifest in numerous forms. Sometimes these forms were closer to human understanding, offering spiritual guidance and moral protection rather than simply embodying raw power. Excuse me. The good daemon was a spiritual entity revered for its benevolence and guiding influence, both in individual lives and in the broader cosmic order. Its representations across cultures are a testament to the human desire for protection, wisdom, and connection to the divine forces that govern the world. Octocteoc, also known as the Eight Books, is a term used to describe a collection of biblical books that span the early parts the of of the Old Testament. These include the Pentateuch, the first five books, which is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, along with the additional Joseph, James, Ruth, and sometimes First Samuel's, which are considered part of the historical books of the Hebrew Bible. The relationship between the Octoteuch and the concept of good daemons, especially in the context of the ancient Phoenician and Egyptian belief systems, can be seen in several key ways. The Octoteuch contains references to divine figures that act as intermediaries between God and humanity. These figures often perform guiding, protective, and authoritative roles similar to how daemons or good daemons were viewed in the ancient Mediterranean and Near East cultures. Moses, for example, served as an intermediary between God and the Israelites, delivering divine commandments and guiding the people. His role parallels that of benevolent daemons who guide and protect the righteous. Similarly, in the context of the Exodus narrative, the Israelites are led and protected by divine figures like the angel of the Lord, who can be seen as an intermediary figure offering protection and guidance through challenging circumstances, like the journey through the desert. In the Octataic, symbols of divine protection and guidance are prominent. The Ark of the Covenant, which represents God's presence, serves as a powerful spiritual protector. In a sense, this divine presence within the Ark echoes the role of a good daemon that watches over and guides the people. Additionally, the pillar of fire and the pillar of cloud that guide the Israelites in the desert are similar to the guiding influence of benevolent spirits or daemons in other traditions. These symbols are divine manifestations that help and protect people, much like a good daemon. The idea of ritual sacrifice found in the Octateuch may resonate with the themes of ancient rites dedicated to deities or spiritual beings, like the Phoenician ritual to Baal Haman or the Egyptian practices related to Kneph, while the Octateuch is largely focused on the Israelite understanding of God's covenant offerings and sacrifice, such as the sacrificial lamb. The ritual depicted in both the Octateuch and those in surrounding cultures share commonalities. The atonement rituals in Leviticus, where blood is used for the purification of redemption of sin, can be compared to the concept of propitiating good daemons in other cultures where sacrifices are made to ensure divine favor and protection. The Octateuch, in its broader context in Hebrew scriptures, cannot be completely separated from the surrounding ancient cultures, including Phoenician and Egyptian traditions, where the notion of benevolent spiritual beings, like good daemons, was central to religious life. The Hebrew scriptures were written in a context influenced by their neighbors, including the Mesopotamians, Canaanites, and Egyptians, all of whom had complex systems of divine intermediaries. The idea of a good daemon in Egypt or Phoenician traditions might resonate with the angelic figures of the Hebrew Bible, such as the angels of the Lord, who guide, protect, and intervene on behalf of humanity. The notion of guardian spirits, intermediaries, and divine guidance reflects a shared cultural understanding in which humans rely on divine beings, whether they are daemons, angels, or gods, for support and protection in their lives. In the Octateuch, particularly in the Book of Exodus, there are various moments of theophany where God reveals himself to Moses and the Israelites in powerful ways. This can be viewed as a form of divine manifestation or encounter, which, like the divine manifestations of apparitions in the Phoenician and Egyptian religion practices. The burning bush, where Moses first encounters God, in the pillars of fire and cloud, both represent the presence of a divine, much like how daemons or spirit beings are depicted as intermediaries or guiding entities in other ancient traditions. The concept of a good daemon is often used metaphorically to represent the guiding influence of a person's inner moral compass. This concept is echoed in the Octateuch in the form of divine law and guidance provided through the Torah, which is the law, and the prophets. Just as a good daemon might guide an individual towards right action, the laws given in the Octataic serve a similar purpose for the Israelites, guiding them in the proper relationship with God and others. The Ten Commandments and the laws found in Leviticus can be seen as a moral framework for ethical guidance systems that ensures harmony and alignment with divine will, which, like the guiding presence of a good daemon in other belief systems. While the Octataic itself does not explicitly mention good daemons as they were understood in Phoenician, Egyptian, and Greek traditions, the role of divine intermediaries, guiding spirits, and protecting entities is a recurring theme. The Octataic's portrayal of divine intervention, angelic messengers, and sacred rites align with the role of benevolent supernatural beings in other ancient religions. These figures serve as protectors, guides, and moral authorities, drawing a parallel between the concept of good daemon and the divine presence of the Hebrew Scriptures. Thus, while the term good daemon may not directly appear in the Octataic, the thematic similarities are clear, and the understanding of divine intermediaries in ancient cultures can be seen reflected in the Hebrew text. The connection between Astonis and the Octataic might seem obscure at first, especially given Astonis's focus on alchemy, mysticism, and his association with Persian and Greek traditions. However, there are certain ways in which his ideas and teachings could relate to the broader themes found in the Octataic, and concepts like divine intermediaries, guidance, and rituals, which are important in both traditions. Astonis was a figure who was often associated with alchemy, occult practices, and esoteric knowledge in the ancient world. He is believed to have lived during the Persian Empire and is often depicted as a magician or mystic. Many texts claim he was involved in the dissemination of magical and alchemical knowledge, and his name is often associated with the mysterious and arcane wisdom of ancient times. In later periods, Astonis was credited for being one of the foremost alchemists, often written about in various texts, some of which relate him to Hermeticism or early magical traditions. His works were considered sources of mystical teachings, and his writings often mixed alchemy, astrology, and other forms of ancient science and mysticism. Astonis himself is not directly connected to the Octataic in any known text. However, the themes that he espoused, particularly those concerning the workings of the divine and the supernatural, can draw comparisons to elements of the Octataic. Astonis, as an alchemist and mystic, was concerned with uncovering hidden or secret knowledge, particularly about the nature of the cosmos and the divine. This is mirrored in the Octataic, particularly in the story of Moses receiving the commandments on Mount Sinai, where divine knowledge and laws are revealed to the people of Israel. Astonis's focus on hidden wisdom aligns with the idea in the Octataic that certain knowledge and divine truths are revealed only to specific individuals, often in moments of profound spiritual transformation. In the case of Moses, the divine presence manifests in a direct and powerful way. The burning bush, or the cloud and fire leading Israelites. Similarly, Astonis's mystical teachings often claim that the divine and the supernatural can be revealed through esoteric practices, just as Moses and other prophets received divine revelations. Astonis is known for his writing on ritual magic and alchemy, which often involved sacrifices or offerings to gain favor with supernatural entities or to obtain deeper insight into the nature of reality. This notion can be related to the sacrificial system described in the Octataic. The book of Leviticus, for example, describes numerous offerings and sacrifices as a way to gain atonement or favor from God. Excuse me. While Astonis's traditions often involved rituals that similarly sought to tap into the divine or supernatural forces. Just as the Octataic emphasizes ritual purity and the need for offerings to maintain harmony with God, Astonis's writings underscore the importance of rituals to align oneself with hidden spiritual forces or to bring about certain outcomes. In Astonis's mystical teachings, much of the focus is on understanding the interaction between divine intermediaries such as angels or spirits that help guide the initiate in their spiritual path. And to spell Astonis, it is Ostanes. Okay, so this parallels the role of angels in the Octataic, for example. The angel of the Lord who serves as a mediator between God and the people of Israel, or the messenger that communicates divine will. Now to spell Octataic, you spell that Octateuch. And I'm probably saying that really, really wrong, but that's the best I can do. Octataic. Now, Astonis's teachings of the intermediaries of the divine might align with the understanding that there are beings who bridge the gap between humanity and higher spiritual realms. In the Octataic, these intermediaries are often instrumental in conveying divine commands and acting as protectors or guides. Alchemy plays a significant role in Astonis's legacy, particularly in the idea of spiritual transformation or the purification of the soul. This transformative process in alchemy, where base materials are transformed into gold, can be seen as a metaphor for the spiritual purification and transformation of an individual. In the Octataic, a similar transformation occurs where the people of Israel are often called to purify themselves, such as through the ritual of atonement, and their journey through the desert is one spiritual refinement. The Israelites must undergo a process of purification, much like the alchemical process, to become worthy of receiving God's covenant. Just as alchemists strive to purify and transform base substances, the people of Israel are transformed through their trials and interactions with the divine. Astonis was associated with the pursuit of divine wisdom, a concept that is also central to the Octataic. The teachings of the Torah in the Octataic are regarded as a source of divine wisdom, laws, and guidance. In Exodus, Moses is often depicted as a wise figure who speaks to God and conveys divine laws to the people. The idea of divine wisdom that permeates the Octataic is similar to Astonis's emphasis of seeking divine knowledge to navigate the material and spiritual realms. The idea of wisdom as an essential attribute of the divine is present in both traditions. For the Israelites, it is the wisdom that comes from following God's law. For Astonis and alchemists, it is the wisdom gained through secret knowledge of the cosmos and spiritual truths. While Astonis himself was not directly connected to the Octataic, his mysticism and esoteric teachings can be related to some of the larger theological and spiritual themes presented in the Octataic. Both the figure of Astonis and the teachings of the Octataic concern themselves with uncovering hidden spiritual truths, the importance of divine guidance and intermediaries, the transformative nature of the sacred, and the transformation of the transformative nature of the sacred. Astonis's work in alchemy, divine wisdom, and rituals aimed to reach divine or hidden knowledge resonates with the broader themes of divine revelation and spiritual transformation that appear throughout the Octataic, making a comparative exploration of these ideas quite intriguing. While they come from different cultural and religious backgrounds, the connections between mystical knowledge, divine intervention, and purification rituals are shared in both traditions. Now, poetic parallelism is a literary device used in poetry and often in sacred and ancient texts, where similar or related ideas, phrases, or clauses are repeated or mirrored to emphasize a particular meaning or create rhythm. It's a technique that allows the writer to build connections between different parts of the poem, reinforcing the central theme and often creating a musical or memorable effect. There are several types of parallels, and they are often employed to highlight contrast, comparisons, or even reinforce a particular emotional or intellectual response for the audience. Now, the synonymous parallelism, that's the first one, synonymous parallelism. This occurs when two lines or phrases express the same or very similar meaning but in different words. It emphasizes the idea or concept by restating it in different terms. And a good example is, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. In this example, the first line establishes the relationship with the shepherd, which is God. And the second line reinforces this by depicting a peaceful, trusting rest in a safe environment. The core meaning remains the same in both lines, emphasizing security and care. Now, after that, we come to antithetic parallelism. In this type, two opposing or contrasting ideas are presented, usually in successive lines or clauses. The contrast between the ideas helps to illuminate each concept by putting it in stark opposition to the other. These are some examples. For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life. Now, here, the contrast between death and eternal life amplifies the moral message and the difference between sin and divine grace. After that, we go to synthetic parallelism. Okay? This type of parallelism builds upon the previous line, expanding the idea or theme rather than simply repeating or contrasting it. The second line usually completes, intensifies, or adds to the first. And that would be, the Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? The Lord is my stronghold, or the Lord is the stronghold of my life, of whom shall I be afraid? The second line builds on the first by extending the thought. Not only is God light and salvation, but also the stronghold of life, creating a fuller image of divine protection and power. Now, after that, we go to chiastic parallelism. Now, this is when the structure of the first part of the sentence is mirrored or inverted in the second part, creating a symmetrical or crisscross effect. The words or ideas are often arranged in a mirror image, which can provide balance and emphasis. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. That's the example. Now, this famous quote uses chiasmus to create a mirrored structure with ask at both ends, and the focus on the relationship between the individual and the nation in a balanced and effective way. Reinforcement of meaning allows key ideas to be repeated in slightly different ways, making the message more memorable. Parallelism often enhances the rhythm of a poem, which is particularly important in oral traditions, where the flow of language helps listeners remember and understand the message. By repeating or contrasting ideas, poets can underscore key themes, messages, or emotions. Repetition in parallel structures makes certain lines or phrases stand out and become more easily remembered, which is why it's commonly used in religious texts, proverbs, and poetry. One of the most famous examples of poetic parallelism is found in the Psalms of the Bible, where synonyms in antithetic parallelism appear frequently. In Psalms 23:1, The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Here synonyms, here synonymous parallelism is used, reinforcing the idea of the Lord's role as the protector and provider. In Psalms 1:6, for the Lord watches over the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked will perish. Here, antithetic parallelism is used to contrast the fates of the righteous and the wicked. Poetic parallelism is not just about repetition, but also about variation and the careful structuring of ideas that deepen the impact of the poem or text. Greek and Hellenistic poetic parallelism, especially in the context of the subjects we've discussed, such as mythology, sacred texts, and philosophical traditions, serve as an essential stylistic device for reinforcing meaning, emphasizing key themes, and aligning cosmic and philosophical concepts in ways that could be memorized, recited, and deeply understood. In the ancient Greek tradition, poetic parallelism was used not just as a formal device, but as a tool to convey moral, cosmological, and religious ideas, many of which intersected with the themes of mythological structures, deities, and sacred knowledge we've examined throughout this discussion. Much like in other poetic traditions, synonymous parallelism in Greek and Hellenistic poetry often work to reinforce and emphasize important themes, such as the connection between gods and mortals, the relationship between nature and the divine, or the notion of fate versus free will. For example, in the works of Homer, both the Iliad and the Odyssey, this type of parallelism can be observed in the repeated description of gods and heroes in nearly identical structures, but using different terms to emphasize their power or virtue. The son of Atreus, Agamemnon, king of men, and the wise Odysseus, son of Laertes, both strive for glory. Here the repeated structure, king of men, for Agamemnon, and wise for Odysseus, serve to emphasize their heroic attributes, reinforcing their roles and importance in the epic. In Greek and Hellenistic traditions, antithetic parallelism became an especially prominent device in works that dealt with the duality of existence, such as the tension between gods and mortals, light and darkness, life and death, and order versus chaos. The use of antithetical parallelism helped to underscore conflicts central to these texts, often involving opposing forces or values. In mythological texts, this could be seen in the Greek philosophical tradition, particularly with thinkers like Heraclitus, who famously spoke of opposites and the unity of contradictions, the idea that war is the father of all things. Similarly, in Hellenistic poetry, such as Theocritus and Callimachus, contrasting qualities are often depicted in in parallel lines to emphasize the balance between order and disorder. So since I had little my little situation there, I'm going to say that again. Similarly, in Hellenistic poetry, such as Theocratus and Callimachus, contrasting qualities are often depicted in parallel lines to emphasize the balance between order and disorder. Sorry about that, guys. And now we'll read this to you. But Poseidon, he who shakes the earth, is lord of the sea, and Zeus, who rules the sky, controls the storms. The parallelism here contrasts the lordship of Poseidon over the sea with the rule of Zeus over the sky, emphasizing the domain of each god and their power in the natural world, while showing how both realms exist in tension yet balance. In the works of the Hellenistic period, synthetic parallelism was often used in philosophical and theological texts to expand or intensify a concept. In this context, it was used to explain divine order, cosmological balance, and the unification of opposing forces, sometimes very central to Hellenistic philosophy, especially in the schools of Stoicism and Epicureanism. In the Orphic hymns, which combine Hellenistic and early Greek religious traditions, synthetic parallelism can be seen in the unfolding of divine cosmogony, where successive lines build upon each other to expand the understanding of how the cosmos and the divine interact. This is common in the way deities are depicted as originating from one another and the universe's cyclical nature. First was chaos, then came Gaia, and from Gaia came Uranus, and from Uranus the seed of heaven gave birth to the mighty Titans. This passage uses synthetic parallelism to expand on the idea of primordial succession of divine beings, each one adding to the structure of the cosmos in a chain of creation that builds upon the last. In the Hellenistic period, particularly after the conquest of Alexander the Great, Greek poetry and its poetic devices spread across a wide region, blending with Persian, Egyptian, and Indian traditions. These intermingling cultures would bring ideas such as karma, the eternal cycle, and divine duality into sharper focus. The interplay of opposites, divinely ordained order, and cosmic balance, which we've seen in many of the mythologies mentioned, such as the struggle between God's cosmic forces like chaos and order, and the cyclical nature of the universe, became central to Hellenistic thought. Parallelism in Greek poetry wasn't just a stylistic tool. It was a philosophical reflection of how the world, the cosmos, and the gods interacted. These parallels helped people make sense of existence, from the grand structure of the universe down to personal fate. The mythological structures we discussed earlier, such as the cosmic battles between gods and the struggles between order and chaos, and the rise and fall of divine beings, are explored and expressed through poetic parallelism. For example, the Tartarus, which is chaos, and Gaia, which is earth, parallels the Orphic cosmology. Parallel in Orphic cosmology reflects an ancient metaphysical understanding of the universe's structure. Chaos gave birth to order, which then gave rise to new divine entities. This can also be reflected in the Greek gods. Many contrasts Apollo as order and Dionysus as chaos, with each deity representing larger cosmic forces. In the religious and mystical traditions of Hellenistic Greece, particularly with the mystery cults, the Eleusinian mysteries, for example, poetic parallelism helped convey profound spiritual teachings and rituals. The initiation into these mysteries often involved the symbolic death and rebirth of the soul, which could be seen as a microcosm of the cosmic cycles discussed above. The use of parallelism in ritual texts would reinforce these concepts of life, death, and rebirth, echoing the cycles of nature and the gods. Greek and Hellenistic poetic parallelism wouldn't just be a stylistic choice, but an essential device for conveying deeper, often cosmic meanings into reflected no no into cosmic meanings. It reflected the philosophical, mythological, and religious frameworks that were central to Greek life and thought. By repeating, contrasting, and expanding upon key ideas, parallelism helped to structure and reinforce the worldview that these ancient texts and rituals were trying to convey, whether through their stories of gods, the cycle of the cosmos, or the lessons of the mysteries. The patterns that emerge from this structure are deeply tied to the divine order and the balance between chaos and creation, which is a recurring theme in the cosmologies and mythologies we've explored. So, right here is actually probably the best place for me to stop because I do want to go into the ball cycle next, and that I think I can do next week. But I don't know because we're at 1 hour and 15 minutes. I could probably go ahead and go through it and be done with it, but I think I'm gonna hold off on it, yeah, and do that next week. Right here is something that I wanted to cover because when you read the Bible, a lot of people have a hard time with it because they don't understand what it's saying, and a lot of the stuff that's written in the Bible is in poetic form, and most people, the average person, isn't aware of it. You know what I mean? They don't understand the meaning behind how this stuff works when they read it. And that's like that in a lot of religions as well as a lot of spiritual practices. This also gave me a chance to kind of go through and show that it's not just religions either. Some of these things that I've discussed today involved alchemy and things of that nature, and the correlations between them and the ancient world, and how cultures literally borrowed from one another their religious and spiritual beliefs and incorporating it into their own, and how that eventually led up to new religions and so forth. So that's one thing that I really did want to do there before I went any further. With that being said, I'm going to go through and find out if anybody said or anything in the comment sections or what. On Beamstream, I have 2 new followers. I have Show Me Them Titties, who started following me again. Glad that you're following me. Constantine Gull started following me as well. Appreciate that. We have 3 viewers on Beamstream. Now, after that, I don't see anything that is on X, and I can't tell if anybody is on DLive either, and there's no comments there. We don't have anybody on Twitch, and we have nobody on Kick or on YouTube, but we do have 54 views on The Wonderful World of Weirdness on YouTube. So thank you guys for watching or checking us out. I do appreciate that. Now, I also want to say that this is going to be played again in 15-minute clips later on. We do have Ancient Mysteries from the previous season that is being played right now on The Wonderful World of Weirdness. You can check those out. Now, yesterday I was doing my episode of Strange Stories, and I wanted to clear something up that I said there, because I'm getting kind of confused on some of these videos and what's where. But what I wanted to say is that strangeness for for Strange Stories on The Wonderful World of Weirdness is what you'll see on Strange Stories, my other YouTube channel for this kind of content. So on The Wonderful World of Weirdness, it'll be Strange Stories, and then on Strange Stories, it's going to be Strangeness. None of the episodes have been broken down to 15 minutes on my channel, Strange Stories, but they are being broken down to 15-minute segments on The Wonderful World of Weirdness. So you will be able to see them again. If you don't like watching like long videos, you can catch it on The Wonderful World of Weirdness at 15 minutes apiece, or you can just watch this again originally the way this is right now on Strange Stories. So I believe I actually did it right this time. I'm not sure, but I think I may have actually said all that the way it was supposed to be said. So let me go through here and find out if anybody said anything. Nope, we have nothing, which means everything is cool. I get freaking in this stream, and I don't have to respond to nobody. I'm happy with that. But yeah. It looks like we are done, and I'd like to thank you guys again. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, share, make comments. I do like to have feedback and have conversations in the comment section. So I'll keep saying that. I'll keep saying it so much it'll annoy people who do actually make it this far back into the video. But hope you guys have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. Have a good day or night. And with that, I am going to end the stream. Thanks for watching.